I run a foreign exchange business, and through us, you were exchanging $500,000 a month, $6 million a year. You even exited this company, and you sold for multiple millions.
I don't think you are only FX provider at the time, so we were doing $6 million with you, and we'll probably do a bit more elsewhere.
Aamar Aslam, entrepreneur, film producer, and CEO of Funding Invoice. He's the multi-million-pound financier who's made a fortune from lending.
You managed to launch a lending business in your 20s. Was it daddy's money?
I wish. I was going to go into banking and hated it, and so I thought, look, I'm going to go and try and start a business. Had no idea what business, but something. If I fail, I'll be even more qualified to be a banker next year, and didn't fail. In the lending business, especially in the UK, it's just too easy to do over a lender. So it's happened to us loads of times. Without giving their name, they're a
Come on, give us the name.
No, I can't. They're a swimwear brand. They did us for about 250 grand. For weeks before that, I was sitting in the club having a drink with the finance manager of the business. Right? So we were amicable. I received a letter through the post saying the business is going to administration. We just written them a 250 grand loan. Somehow the administrator agreed that loan was actually part of it, so we got nothing.
So they basically pocketed your money. The internet and social media is filled with teenagers and young 20s earning apparently $100,000 a month.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? If everywhere you look on social media, it's full of stuff like that. Obviously, there are people out there who are making money. But at the same time, I've seen some ridiculous shit with influencers, right? Like people that look like they've got loads of money. So much fakery out there, man.
I'm Sam Vanderpump, born into a family of entrepreneurs. However, I'm forging my own path, running a foreign exchange brokerage, working with some of the biggest global brands. Each week, I sit down with the power players, innovators, and legacy builders in my network to uncover the bold moves, breakthrough moments, and behind-the-scenes grits that turn big ideas into filthy rich realities. Welcome to Filthy Rich, the podcast where money meets meaning and success leaves a story. Today's guest is a man who built his fortune in the most fitting way possible by lending it. Founder and CEO of Funding Invoice, he kept fashion brands like Casablanca in business when the champagne was flowing, but the cash flow wasn't. He's seen the high life, the hard knocks, and everything in between. Welcome to Filthy Rich, Aamar Aslam.
Samuel, thank you very much.
This podcast is all about entrepreneurs and how they make money, so it feels really fitting to have someone on here who's made their money from lending money.
Sure, yeah. I mean, so that's obviously how we met in the first place.
Yeah.
So I've had a fintech business. That's my background, as you know. Raising money from hedge funds, high net worth investors, and then lending out to small businesses.
How does that start? Because obviously you're 31 now. You managed to launch a lending business in your 20s. Was it daddy's money?
I wish. No, so I mean, not to talk smack about my family or whatever, but no, I started when I was about 21, maybe 22, just after uni. Was going to go into banking and hated it. And so I thought, look, I'm going to go and try and start a business. Had no idea what business, but something. And if I fail, I'll be even more qualified to be a banker next year. And didn't fail. And so started the business with next to nothing. And very, very slowly. I mean, so when we first started the company, we were like a peer-to-peer. So we had high net worth investors that we would try and find somehow who would park some funds with us, which we would then lend out to businesses. So it was really tough at first because we always had to balance having the funds available to lend and finding businesses to lend to. And then it just, as we grew our investor base, it became it was sensible to then institutionalize that and start raising from funds instead.
So it wasn't your dad's money that allowed you to lend to others? Whose money was it?
It was, I mean, we met our first few investors from going to events. I mean, where we really got, where things started ticking over was there was an article about us in the Times, and we just had a load of calls, investor calls from that article. And from there, everything just picked up. It started naturally meeting other people. Just a general networking thing, even through how we first met, right? Was through a networking club, you would call it in a way. Just getting around like that, the same as you.
What is your background then? If it wasn't, coming from daddy's money, it was all self-built. What is your background?
Background was tough, Sam. Background was tough. It's not, again, it's one of those things, you don't want to come onto a podcast and start talking talking too badly about your upbringing, you know, because obviously everyone's parents do the best they can. But it was tough. It wasn't easy, and didn't come from money or anything like that. And so I always knew that I wanted to have some, you know.
So do you think not having money growing up made you want money a lot more?
Yeah, I think it shapes a lot of things, you know. It shaped the ambition, the desire to have money, definitely. But also, you're not educated about what to do when you do come into some, if you do come into some, right? And so you end up making loads of stupid mistakes because everything, I mean, I went to university and studied economics and stuff, so it's not that I was completely financially literate, but also there are still desires and dreams that you have from when you're a kid, growing up in certain circumstances, that you've still got in your head about how you want to spend money. So you want to go to clubs, you want to spend 10, 15, 20 grand, because it's the stuff that you know, that you saw in the rap videos growing up. So, you know, it's a big influence, right? And it's something that, I think ends up being a negative thing when you do come into, especially if you come into money quite young. I was, you know, when I first started seeing some real dough I was 23, you know, 24. What do you know about life at that point? And I remember my mum always telling me at the time to go and put some money into property. So I've got something safe, and I never did. But it's worked out now. But there were, you know, obviously there are ups and downs in entrepreneurship.
I mean, because obviously your journey was starting lending money. You made money. You became actually one of my clients, and I think when you were one of my clients, you were exchanging. I mean, I run a foreign exchange business, and through us, you were exchanging $500,000 a month. So, you know, $6 million a year you were exchanging.
Easy, yeah.
Easily, you say,
Yeah.
and you know, to the point where you even exited this company, and you know, you sold for.
I don't think
multiple millions.
I don't think you. Yeah. So I don't think you are our only FX provider at the time. So maybe we're doing 6 million with you, and we're probably doing a bit more elsewhere. You know, you got to hedge your bets. But no, that was all because of the fashion stuff. So we did a lot of lending to fashion brands in the UK. That's kind of how. So a lot of the fashion brands in the UK, while everything is designed here, stuff, you know, all the actual product, all luxury fashion that we were funding, all the product might be produced in Portugal, in Italy to a lesser extent, even China and whatever. And so, as you know, we were sending funds around the world through you on behalf of the brands that we were funding. And that sort of spiraled my career after that. Just getting involved in fashion changed everything.
Let's talk names. What was some of the, you know, big fashion brands that you worked with that we would know today?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few out there that we work with in different capacities. I mean, I think the ones who have really gone on to smash it. So we were one of the first external financiers for Casablanca, who have obviously smashed it. Different level now, but when I met them, I think the guy Sharaf, he was a French Moroccan guy who had a previous brand in Paris called, I think it was called Pigalle, and then whatever happened with that brand, and then he was setting up Casablanca. And I met him through a financial advisor guy that he had or whatever that I'd done some work with previously, and so yeah, we ended up funding them, and you know, went to Fashion Week in Paris with them and all that kind of stuff. Super glamorous on the outside, but messy on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, financing the fashion industry, you know, brands like Casablanca does sound like a very glamorous kind of lifestyle, going to Fashion Week in Paris. I remember you always, you know, every Fashion Week, Paris, London, Milan.
Yeah.
It's very glamorous, is it?
It looks like it from the outside, but I think from the inside of a fashion brand, it's horrible, right? Because you've got firstly, they've got to pay for the show, right? And the shows are expensive. But secondly, at the same time, they're probably paying for production from, you know, for the next season or even, you know, sometimes for the season after that. So cash flow in fashion brands are bloody horrible. And that's why we were so successful in fashion, is because, you know, our business was a cash flow solution.
Going to Casablanca, I reminded me of a story that you told me at the Ritz.
Yeah, that was yeah. So obviously, you know,
That pair of shoes.
So we used to hang out obviously at the Ritz and have meetings there and stuff. And we used to go. You and I used to smoke cigars there, in fact. And I remember I was there just hanging out one day, and it was one of the first times I met the founder of Casablanca, and we were still talking about the deal to fund them. And I was sat there in the cigar lounge, and he entered the hotel to try and come into the cigar lounge. And if you remember, they don't let you in without, you know, if you're wearing a pair of trainers or whatever. And so they made him change his shoes and borrow some shoes from the hotel. Obviously, the guy was devastated. You know, I imagine now, because the brand's taken off, he would just say no and walk out, right? But obviously, when you're starting out, you need money. You know, you got to be humble. And so yeah, they asked him to change his shoes, and the guy just put some ugly shoes on that they had there from the Ritz changing or whatever, lost and found, I imagine.
Was it just the financing of the brands? Is that all you did? Were you always a finance person, or?
We work with a lot of young luxury fashion designers, right? And so a lot of them had studied at fashion school, whatever, great designers, and then sort of accidentally fallen into running businesses. And so a lot of them didn't have the business background that we had. And so we saw there was a gap in the market to be able to sort of nurture these brands, right? So from providing funding to them, we then opened a warehouse business where we would pay for their stock, for example, through you. So let's say you've got a London-based fashion brand who is selling to Harrods, Harvey Nichols, whatever, and producing in China. We would help them find a factory in China through agents that we contacts that we've met over time, pay their factories in China through someone like you, save the money on the exchange rate because they're not going through the bank. Then have the goods shipped to our warehouse where we would then organise them and then pick and pack and ship out the stock to then all their wholesale stores. So that could be, in the UK, like I said, Harrods and Harvey Nicks, or it could be at the time Saks Fifth Avenue in New York and Bloomingdale's and stores around the world. And then at the same time, we would help them with their financial planning. We'd stick a financial controller in the business. So it wasn't just helping them, it was also helping us, right? Because it was de-risking our loan to them because we were always in control of the money. We always knew that, for example, if we were lending money to this brand, they were actually using it to pay the factories that they said they were going to pay for. Because it happened in the past where we'd given loans to fashion brands and they spent the money on a show. And the only way, just fire their business or whatever, but the only way we would get paid is if the stock got produced and then got sold to the stores that had ordered it.
So you realised it wasn't just about selling them the loan, it was about selling them the whole solution.
Exactly. But for them it works because they were doing the things that they liked best, right, which is designing, and it worked for us because we were helping them to run the businesses, but also securing our loans in the process, right, because we were looking after our own money.
It all sounds fantastic at the moment. You've built a company, you're loaning money, the money's going up and up and up. You're working with huge brands that are known today, but as we both know, it's not always just a steady incline upwards. There's going to be lows along the way. So talk to us about some of those lows.
Loads of losses, man. Loads of losses. So it's one of those things in the lending business, especially in the UK, it's just too easy to do over a lender. So it's happened to us loads of times, right? Where we've had, it's a fashion brand I'm thinking off the top of my head, a fashion brand who, I think they're quite a big fashion brand still, but they're, without giving their name, they're a...
Come on, give us the name.
No, I can't. They're a swimwear brand that they retail in Scorpios in Mykonos. They're that kind of brand. And, from that, the people that know will be able to work out who they are. But so they did us for about 250 grand, right? Because we lent them loads of money to produce their stock or whatever. And just a week before that, I was sitting in the Groucho Club having a drink with the finance manager of the business, right? So we were amicable. Everything was, friendly. About a week later, I received a letter through the post saying the business is going into administration. We just written them a 250 grand loan. And on the statement of affairs or whatever it was, it showed that there was a director's loan for like 2 million quid, which we'd never see anything of. Never even, never saw it going into the bank or whatever. And somehow the administrator, who maybe they'd worked with them, off the books or whatever, agreed that loan was actually part of it. So we got nothing. So even though we were secured in the stock never got made. And they closed the business, opened a new one the next day, bought the assets of the old business for like 15, 20 grand and just carried on.
So they basically pocketed your money?
Pocketed my 250 grand, there were some investors that I got introduced to them through who lost a couple hundred grand as well. HMRC must have lost £500,000. So they just had loads of debts in the business, hid it all, raised as much money as they could, sold the business into a new company and cracked on. They're flying now. So,
wow.
Doing really well. Yeah, great for them. It's too easy in the UK, man, for that kind of stuff. It's just something that happens so much.
You talk about losing money on deals and they're the biggest stings and lows for you. Was there any other deals that have really stuck out, that really stung you? Yeah,
loads, man. It's part of the lending business is losing money, and even aside from lending, from the lending business itself, doing any kind of investment, there's always risk, right? I did a video on Instagram that got a load of views about me getting scammed in Turkey. It was during the pandemic. Went over there, tried to buy about 300 grand worth of stock, left a deposit for half the amount. and never got the stock. It's 150 grand down the drain. There was another one. Again, I'm just telling you about the ones that hurt me, right? The ones that I still think about.
They're not all this bad.
No, they're not all that bad. but some of them are legitimate losses, right? Some of them, but the other ones where it's like you're having a drink with the guy that does you over a week before. Those are the hard ones to swallow.
You've mentioned to me before how easy it is for businesses to be scammed in the UK. How did you end up protecting yourself? Obviously, you learned from your mistakes.
Yeah.
So how did you end up protecting
all the lending
yourself?
that we did was very secured stuff. So we would take charge over the businesses. We would, it was all receivables finance. So it was all stock. Generally speaking, it was stock that had been sold to big companies that we were funding, right? So let's say you're a small fashion brand selling your products to Harrods. They might take 90 days to pay you, for example, and you don't have the cash flow to be able to wait 90 days for payment. So we would then bridge that gap by paying you your invoice on day one, the day you issue it, and then when Harrods pay, they would pay us, and we'd settle the difference. So it was always making sure that the end debtor was really strong. We would also do our credit analysis on the businesses that we were lending to, but ultimately, if someone wants to scam you, they're going to scam you. It's happened to us, loads of times. It's a part of life, part of business.
I guess that's just the kind of thing you have these huge wins because you're growing such a fast evolving company, and you have to just take those losses in your stride, right?
Definitely, yeah. Like you said, you live and you learn. I think it's maybe one of the bad parts of setting a company up when you're in your early 20s is that you just don't know a lot, right? Like no matter how smart you are, no matter how much you think you know, there's just so much of life to be experienced. And sadly, I had no one who had been through those experiences before to teach me otherwise, right? So I had to go make those mistakes myself. Now, for the next generation of people that I can give them advice on lending money now, like I'm an expert in it. So it's
that's a good point there. I mean, if you were to either speak to a younger version of yourself, what would you say to them, or what would you say to the next generation, inspiring to be in a position like yours?
Do a 9 to 5, man. Get a 9 to 5. Forget this one. Because you know what? In social media these days, people talk so badly about 9 to 5s. It's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing to go and get a job, and because some guys make loads of money doing that, right? Go and work at a hedge fund, go and work at an investment bank. It's not a 9 to 5, right? You might be working 12 hours a day, but you're gonna earn good dough.
Wow, that's a contradiction to anyone of all the entrepreneurs that have been on here. All of them have said escape the 9 to 5.
At the same time, I think if you're young, if you're under 35, no kids, then I think just have a go. Whatever it is, everyone's got that thing in their mind, right? That idea that they wish they could pursue. That would be my advice, right? If you're under 35, if you've got no, young, you've got no sort of super, like you haven't got kids and whatever, no commitments in that way. Go and chase your dreams. Go and try something, even if you fail. Because even the people that, and I'm sure you would agree with this. I think you'd agree with this. Even the people that look like they know everything that's going on, everyone's just sort of working it out as they go along, right? Even the experts. It's businesses like that, you can never know everything, and every day you're in a changing environment, and it's just you're making up as you go along. So there's no reason why you couldn't do what I've done or what you've done. We're not special in that way,
Well, we're actually getting a little bit older now. We're approaching our 30s.
It's less impressive now, isn't it? Yeah. It's all less impressive.
It really is. I mean, it's the internet and social media is filled with teenagers and young 20s earning apparently 100,000 a month. I mean,
it looks like it, doesn't it? It's if everywhere you look on social media, it's full of stuff like that. But I think it's a load of rubbish. I mean, obviously there are people out there who are making money, and there are people out there who maybe their stories aren't exactly what they say they are, but they're doing something. But at the same time, I've seen some ridiculous shit with influencers, right? Like people that look like they've got loads of money. I think you know this guy, and I won't mention his name because I actually like the guy. But there's a guy who's known for having loads of money, right? I've been out with this guy 100 times, and the guy he doesn't have a penny, right? And the way he flexes on Instagram, you'd think he's got everything. And he used to go out with me, and I'd spend, let's say, 10 grand a club, go to Maddox or go to Cirque, whatever. And he'd take videos of the card machine coming through and whack it on his story. And then
meanwhile, it was actually your my credit card, your bill.
And then come to the hotel room and take snaps of a nice suite. We used to stay at the Mayfair Hotel, and used to go and take snaps of the suite, post it in the story, and then go stay at some shit hotel down the road. There's so much and it's so shameless, right? But there's just so much fakery out there, man. So it's hard to know who's doing something and who's not. All you can do is worry about yourself. That's it, man.
This episode is sponsored by one of my businesses, Vanderpump FX. If you're a business sending or receiving money from abroad, contact us. Most banks and providers overcharge you on the exchange rates. At Vanderpump FX, we can help businesses and individuals like you save on every transaction. With savings up to 5% compared to most banks. We make sure your money stays where it belongs, in your pockets, not the bank's. You've actually been a financier, an investor, but you're pivoting now. You're now moving into this world of social media and even producing yourself. You've got millions of views on social media at the moment.
I mean, the thing for me on social media is that, especially as someone who puts out content, it's you got to just ignore what anyone says online, right? Like it's just people will say good things and they'll say bad things, and it's just you can only put out there what you know, right? I think I'm probably less inclined to believe all the stuff I see on social media because you can say anything on there. I wasn't traditionally someone that used social media very, very much. I mean, I'm using it for the purpose of increasing awareness around the project that I'm working on, the film. And the whole thing for me is that I'm not a TV producer or a film producer by trade, and so I've got to do something that's extraordinary, right? I have to go out there and create. Well, I have to show that people actually care about the film that I'm making, right? So I've just gone on social media and started talking about crime. It's a crime film, and all the different types of storylines you might see in the film. I've just posted videos about them. People love them. I mean, like you said, millions of views on some of the videos,
And how does that come about? I mean, you've been a success as a financier, a success as an investor. Why did you suddenly feel like you wanted to pivot into producing?
Like you said, sold the business, left the country actually, went to go and live in Spain, which is where as you know, I flew in today to come for this. And once you've sort of retired or whatever, there's only so much you can do. Right? There's only so much lying on a beach you can do. That's it, right? And it's one of those things. Money isn't the goal in a lot of these things. You don't do this podcast for money, right? It's because you're someone that likes to build things. I thought what I wanted was to go and lie on the beach all day. Couldn't do it, I always had the everyone has this idea that they want to make a movie or something out of their life, right? Or make a TV series. Not that the film is about my life, but it's about a lot of the things that I've seen. Maybe the way things could have gone if I'd taken some wrong decisions. And so I started writing a script, and I'd done some work in film and TV before, but on the funding side. So I got in touch with some producers that I'd worked with previously, showed them my script, and they were like, actually, this is quite good.
I mean, there seems to be a real interest for it. I mean, you say, your social media is popping at the moment because you're talking about the stories which could be potential productions in this movie you're doing. And I mean,
Definitely,
like you say on your social media, I think many of your videos have had high million views on them. So it's obviously working. It's obviously popular.
So it's largely stuff about money laundering, right? The film is a film about money laundering. It's about a guy a young dude that sets up a fund of some kind and gets involved in money laundering. Not autobiographical at all. It's just something that could have happened, right? Like there have been opportunities that have come to me in the past where things, someone pitches something to you that sounds amazing, and then you look into it and you go, hold on a second, this probably isn't right, and so the story is a story about if I'd said yes to certain. I mean, obviously it's fictionalized, but it's a story about if I'd said yes to some of those opportunities, and off the back of it, I've just learned so much about different types of crime because there's just so much going on. And some of these criminals, it's strange because you think if they just put their mind to something else, they'd be fine, right? They run a regular business because some of the scams they operate are so complicated.
There's actually a funny saying, isn't there, that I can't remember who said it, and you might be able to quote them here. A very famous entrepreneur said some of the best businessmen out there are drug dealers, right?
Yeah.
Because they understand the grind, they understand hard hours.
It's customer acquisition, you're managing your supply chain. Obviously, it's a difficult business,
Yeah. And if they just put that same effort into real legitimate businesses,
right?
they'd be far more successful than most.
Yeah, definitely. Because the life of a drug dealer isn't that long, right? The life of someone who sells drugs not because they die, but because it's not wealth that you can
sustain.
That you can
End up in
sustain. No,
prison.
and you end up in prison at some point, right? You look at any successful ex-drug dealer, they're not doing drugs anymore, right? For example, there's actually a guy that I consider a mentor, someone that I look up to. There's a character based on him in the film Tokens that I'm producing, and he is an ex-career criminal. I mean, was a horrible dude, right? Completely reformed, doesn't wouldn't do any wouldn't speed, wouldn't go 31 to 30 anymore. But the guy was a horrible guy before, and now he runs a charity, fully reformed, and he's just got stories for days. The guy has got, but he, all of the guys that he used to run with, whatever, they're all in jail, or dead.
Just put them into the real businesses, and they might do a bit better.
Yeah.
But business aside, what are you actually doing for fun these days?
For fun, just trying to make more money, man. Because it's just there's numbers on a screen, right? It's just about I mean that's a joke. It's not really just building things, man. It's like you in a way. It's just looking for things where I think now that I'm not focusing on just running one business. You can sort of explore the creative side of your mind, right? I think being an entrepreneur anyway is creative in an analytical way, but being artistically creative is something that I'm exploring now. Writing a script is something I'd never done before. Producing a film is it's tough. It's something that I haven't really been involved with on the artistic side. So just spending time doing that, man, is like my therapy. That.
So I guess I'm more alluding to, you've obviously mentioned you have your Rolls-Royce Cullinan, a £300,000 car. Yeah, fantastic car.
Good car,
And you're no stranger to Rolls-Royces. You've always had a Rolls-Royce Phantom.
I remember when you must have been 21 or 22 when you first drove my first Ghost.
Yeah.
I remember. I think I still got a video of that.
It was a great car. Great car. But you're part of a group now. What's it like? Rolls-Royce group. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about us, to be honest. But but no.
Is it like Fight Club?
It's not like Fight Club because you've already ruined that.
First rule about Fight Club: we don't talk about Fight Club.
It's like we've got it's a WhatsApp group, right? But it's more than that. It's like a family. There's about 50 of us now in this group, and we're all Rolls-Royce owners, and all from around the world. And so, whenever we're in each other's cities, we meet up, have fun. It's never just dinner, right? So we just got back from Mallorca. We did a trip. There were 8 of us in total. Went to Palma, and what a place! But every day, beach club, dinner, beach club, dinner, beach club, dinner, and then so traveling's fun. I mean, whenever we look after each other, right? So like if I'm in Miami, someone will get their Rolls Royce dropped off to the airport and say, "Here you go. This is yours for the time you're here." And I've done the same thing in London, and obviously, it's like that, man. And sometimes these are people you haven't met before, right? When I went to New York, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, one of my mates dropped off his Ghost to me. I hadn't met the guy before. We'd just spoken in the group. I met him whilst I was out there, but that stuff's fun, man. Like, I like that side of life.
That's great. Can I get into this? I don't own a Rolls Royce.
You're gonna go and buy one, man. You're gonna get.
Can you put me in this group and I just turn up into a country that give me a Rolls Royce?
Yeah, you know what? Let's go to Rolls Royce after this. Let's go to Rolls Royce after this.
You're gonna buy me one?
We'll go halves.
Okay, so how many people are in this group?
There's about 50 or 60 of us. I mean, we were a bit more. We cut some.
You cut some.
Yeah,
God.
we had to cut some people.
I need to know if I'm going to make this.
We had to cut some people because it was getting. Yeah, it got a bit much, man. There's lots of drama in the group. I can't talk about the drama in the group. I can't talk about it, but there was.
All right, something you can talk about. Come on, give us a ballpark figure. What would you say is the combined net worth of this group?
There's a lot of zeros there, Sam. There's a lot of zeros. I mean, even just one of the guys. I'm by nowhere near the richest in the group or anything like that. But there's it's a heavy group. It's a heavy group. You got to look. Some of the guys in the group have 10 Rolls Royces. And
so
more.
we're talking multiple billions.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You can't put a number on it. It's because the value of the group isn't about the net worth. It's about the people in the group. They're amazing. Honestly, it's really like a family. There was a guy I met for the first time in Palma in Mallorca, who just come over from Australia. We'd only ever spoken through the group, and in person, it's like we're family immediately. So it's a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful thing.
Okay, and of all these businesses you've been involved in, which one would you say now you look back on, and which is the most enjoyable? Which have you had the most fun building?
I'd say what I'm working on now. To be honest, all the film production stuff with Tokens, it's the most exciting by far. It's something that I have no experience in producing a film, but I know the person I am. I know that I'll be able to make it something, right? I know that's what will happen. That's what will happen. Producing a film is like a startup, right? You have to go out and raise money. You have to go and find customers. You have people who are going to buy your film off you. You have to go and find suppliers, which really are actors and directors, camera people, sound people. It's just a massive operation. So we shot a test trailer just to show the sort of visual style of the show of the film that I want to produce, which is on my Instagram. And just in a 2-day shoot, loads of people working ridiculous hours. Now I understand better how to manage creatives in that way, because I think if you give too much freedom, you end up just funding some people's art project, right? So they end up quoting you something to produce your idea, and then invoicing you for something else because you've just given them too much free rein.
Talking about hardballs that you've dealt with in business, actually, I feel comfortable asking you this question because you're a friend of mine, but how have you dealt with, racism within the business world?
Racism is a thing that exists, right? It's a thing that exists. I think if you're so great that you can't be ignored, then it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to go and produce a film, produce the best film you can, so that no matter who is buying the film off you, if they're racist or whatever, they don't care because people care about money more. I've got a friend actually on that note who had every odd stacked against him. A guy that I met through funding his business, a guy called Josh Wilson. He was a TV producer who's doing something else now. But when I met him, he was producing a documentary for Channel 4, producing a documentary for Sky. He was on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. He hadn't been to university, just about finished high school. But how could I say no to someone? I mean, black Jamaican guy, Jamaican origin, and how could anyone say no to him? The guy was great at what he did, and I think that's the case in general when it comes to combating racism in business. Is just be great, and no one can deny you, right? No one can. It's not going to happen. It's the same with any prejudice, right? I think even you starting your business young. Yeah. That's also something that a lot of people don't want to work with young entrepreneurs because you're a kid. But if your service is so good that they need you, then they can't say no, right? If
you're resilient, professional...
It's like you. When I first started working with you, I could have worked with people who had been in the industry for longer, or people who had people who were 10 years older than you, whatever, but they didn't have the service that you had, and they didn't have the prices you had. So you were good at what you did, and that's it.
Interesting. Because, you've made jokes to me in the past where you've said you've had to change your name to make it easier for you to do business, where you wouldn't go in as Aamar Aslam, you'd say I'm John Smith.
Never John Smith.
But
no, but it's not even. So for me, what's been more of a thing is changing the way I speak, and even now I've forgotten how I speak. Like, it's just I grew up a very working class background, speaking one way. Went to university and then obviously started out in the corporate world and changed the way I spoke completely, where, having to sound more white collar and more professional. But really, that's not me, right? It's something that I used to have to try to do really, really badly. And now I'm just a mixture of whatever. We're talking like this now on the podcast, and then the cameras will go off and we'll speak a different way. So it's hard. Definitely losing your identity in a way. Not losing your identity, but it's a struggle, right? You
have to be a chameleon in business.
It definitely not do it, but I think it's something that is changing now, especially with this next generation, like with Gen Z and whatever. Those guys just talk however they want, right? And things work out for them. But I think being authentic in the end is what's important. But it's something that I always found difficult to do, was just stay authentic and be who I am. But at the same time, I don't know if I would have ended up where I ended up if I were.
Well, it's been great to speak to you, mate, honestly, and thank you so much for coming on this podcast, speaking openly and honestly and hearing about your businesses. And I have to say, anyone watching this podcast has to go check out your Instagram. It's, if not just really educational, interesting content, and I can't wait to see this movie that you're producing.
Yeah, you're going to need to be a part of it, man. Since you're on TV all the time now.
My acting is going to come into it. So
it's a walk-on part, you'll be good. But thanks for having me, Sam. Cheers, man.
Pleasure. Thanks for watching Filthy Rich with me, Sam Vanderpump. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more episodes and exclusive content. For this podcast, search Vanderpod on all major audio streaming platforms. See you soon.